All right, we are back for yet another video. In this video, we're going to talk about something that comes up so often, especially now, but is how to actually do updates to your listings. I mean, it used to be 8 years ago when I started selling on Amazon, you could click edit and to make a change and it would go through. It's gotten way harder. And this is probably one of the most common problems that sellers we talk to are facing is updating
Mhm.
something on the listing. Maybe you launched it a year ago and now you're trying to change a title or bullet points or images, and there's a lot of things that happen that prevent you from actually doing that. So I'm here with Arvin. He's done this a ton. I don't even want to know how many times he's done this, but well, Arvin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah. So I'm here in the Philippines right now. Yeah, early morning. Yeah, and I'm here to just really talk to you about this issue. Like what you said. Yeah, this is the common issue that most sellers are experiencing lately. Yeah, but way back 2015, 2017, it's really easy to update the content. It's just really becoming a challenge nowadays. So yeah.
So let's talk about what exactly are the most common things that people talk to you about wanting to update on a listing and some of the challenges that come up. Let's start there.
Well, yeah, usually, Amazon sellers will try to make changes on their listings. Either one, they're trying to optimize their content because they want to add some certain keywords on their listings, on the title, or maybe bullet points, or maybe there's some updates on Amazon's policy, such like restrictions, whatsoever that they need to remove that content, so they need to make that update, or maybe just some random tagging on the content, like the potential IP violation because you've accidentally used somebody else's brand on your listing, or maybe even some talking about restrictions like pesticide. But I don't want to go into so much details because yeah, we will not end this call if I'll explain all of those like reasons why a seller need to update their content. But mostly for a product or a brand owner, they just really more on the optimization because they want to
Yeah.
improve the conversion. So yeah,
So maybe you want to update them. We'll keep it simple and say you want to make an update to your main images, your title, your bullets, right? Oftentimes that might be
that
the
is right.
case, and you're trying to improve your ranking by adding the right keywords in or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So where do sellers get it wrong? Like what happens and what are people trying to do that doesn't work? Like why can't they fix it themselves?
Well, there are a lot of reasons why they cannot fix the or update their title themselves, but I'm not gonna explain all of that today. I'm just gonna share with you some of the things that I know. One is, of course, the retail contribution, like where it's coming from. For someone who don't know what the retail contribution is, it's usually, especially for someone who is selling an ASIN with so many other resellers, the retail contribution could be coming from your seller central account or could be from another seller. It's where like, who is controlling the content. The listing could be Amazon. It could be the brand registry team. It could be your selling account. It could be another third party that you've allowed to sell on Amazon. And sometimes there are also some just glitches on the back end of the catalog. So you have to work this one out with the catalog team for them to make that update. As much as possible, try to avoid talking to just a normal seller support because they will give you a kind response that they will make that recommendation to do a delete release, or it will take 24 hours if you've updated it. But usually those responses are not true. Like especially if someone have told you just to wait 24 to 48 hours, nah, don't believe that. Try
Yeah.
and call Amazon support and tell them that, hey, I need you to fix this one. But make sure that when you call them, you have done all the troubleshooting processes, which I can explain now or later. Depends on you, Ben. Yeah,
Mhm.
those troubleshooting processes are really important because this
So,
will help you expedite the resolution.
so just to give a concrete example is let's say you are a seller, you own the brand, you're trying to change a title, and maybe you have listed the same product, but you have two SKUs set up. Maybe you have an FBA SKU, FBM. And we
Mhm.
just dealt with a seller this past week that had been trying to make a change to their title on a listing, and they're updating that title on one of the SKUs, and it was not updating on the front end, so what the customer sees. And what we found in that case was that because they had more than one SKU, the contribution. So when we say contribution, it's where is the data that's showing on the live listing getting pulled from. And so they were making
Mhm.
changes to the SKU that they thought would trigger the change. However, when we updated the title on that listing, nothing happened. What we realized is that actually the contribution was coming from their separate SKU number 2, we'll just call it. And so,
Just to clarify it,
yeah,
sorry, because he's the one. Cause I don't want to sound like we're missing the process. But yeah, he was updating one SKU that he thought the contribution is coming from, but he don't know what the contribution is. So and then when he asked us to look at it, like, and what we figured out is there are 3 SKUs. So one is FBA, one FBM, and there's also one other SKU that Amazon created, but they set that listing to be inactive for future date. And later I found out that the contribution is actually coming from that inventory, or rather the SKU that is inactive to set the future date. Maybe because it's Amazon who created it, it's not based on the sales algorithm, yada yada. But what I'm trying to say is that if you have multiple SKU for one ASIN, make sure that whenever you're making an update, you're doing it for all the 3, or maybe if you have 5, make sure that you're doing that update for all of the SKUs. Either you do it manually or you do it via flat file.
Yep. Yeah. And so this is just one example. I mean, the other kind of common ones are if you maybe authorized another seller or 2 sellers to also sell your products. So maybe you're one seller and there's 2 or 3 or 4 or multiple other people on the listing. And maybe you as the owner of the brand are trying to make a change, but the contribution could actually be getting pulled from someone else, right? A different reseller. There's a lot of ways that this can happen. And what that effectively does is when you try to make a change, it gets frustrating because it doesn't go through, right? Or it doesn't go through the first few times. And that's where you need to start troubleshooting it and going through the steps to get it actually to go through. So what are the steps you can take in terms of troubleshooting and actually getting real updates made to your listing?
All right. So yeah, first it depends on what are the things you have done already. Let's say the first thing that you did is you manually updated the content. But sometimes it works. You just went into logged into your Seller Central account, go to your manage inventory, find the ASIN. As I've said, if you have 3 SKU, you manually updated it with a new title or a new bullet points. And if it worked, like, okay, you're done. But if it is not, then what you can do is you can go and go to your Seller Central again, go to this inventory report and download the category listing report, so that at least you have a flat file already pre-filled with the information that is already coming from your Seller Central account. And then once you have the category listing report, just filter it with all of the SKUs or ASINs that you need to update, and delete all the rest of the ASINs or product that is in there that you don't need to make an edit, because it's just going to make your listing really like a big file. So now after you have trimmed it down with the SKUs that you need to update, make sure that you add the title, the bullet points, and usually on the category listing report, there will be an automatic flagging, or maybe automatic color will change if you're missing that information, because it's required. So if it is red, a red cell in it, make sure that you have add that information, because that will prevent uploading, or rather having an error on your flat file upload. So if you think that your flat file is ready, first thing, I will do a partial update first, because doing a full update is kind of dangerous, especially if you haven't backed up your listing. So if I uploaded my flat file with a partial update status and it went successful, and then you're done. If it is not, then yeah, check the error, like try to troubleshoot it, and then if you like, because usually the processing template or report will give you what are the things that you need to edit, and if it's something that you can do, just edit it and re-upload it. If not, then make sure that you're backing up your listing with a flat file, or maybe even take a screenshot of your detail page, because something happens. Maybe not your fault, maybe it was Amazon's fault. At least you have an idea of how many, let's say for example, the reviews do you have, or what are the normal bullet points, what are the images in there, so that you can go back and tell Amazon that, hey, this is not what it used to be before I uploaded the flat file. If not, so again, so if after you perform a full update, the listing is still not updated with what the content that you want to have, what you can do is perform a delete release process. Usually with the delete release, I will not delete the listing manually. I will also delete the listing by a flat file. There's an option in there like partial update, and delete. With that, I will be able to actually generate a batch ID, and it also will give me a timestamp. Why it is important? Because Amazon will always tell you that you need to delete the listing for more than 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours. So after you delete it, wait for 24 hours, 48 hours, or 72 hours, depends on how much it will impact your sales. But yeah, after 24 hours, I will re-upload it. I will change the drop down from delete to update. And most of the times it works. Like the changes that I need to perform on that listing will reflect on the detail page after 15 minutes to 30 minutes. But if it is still not in there, if it is still not reflected in there, this is now when you can create a case. Make sure that you have the batch ID of your delete and the batch ID of your release upload, and then go and contact Amazon support. I always try to contact Amazon support via call, because if I will just raise a case via email, I will just get another canned response. Because
Mhm.
usually, because the seller support, they have what you might call it, like they have an SLA. They cannot just transfer the cases to their leadership team or to their supervisor. They have to provide us with the canned response, and that's what you want to try to avoid. So if you call, you can call to the you can talk to the customer support and tell them that, hey, I have a problem. I have done this troubleshooting process. I've manually updated it. I uploaded it via flat file. Here's the delete. Here's the release upload, but it's not working. Can you please transfer this case to the catalog team? Because only the catalog team, the leadership of the catalog team are the only one who have access in the tools who can make that edit. If after that, like you've raised the case, because the catalog team will take some time to reply because they don't have like phone support. So you have to really wait for them. The support that you talk to will create an internal ticket to transfer that case. They will not give you that internal ticket because it's just, as I said, it's just internal. But whenever they say that they created an internal ticket, usually it's true, 95% of the time. So you have to wait another 24 to 72 hours for that. While you are waiting, what you can do, if you're a brand owner and you're brand registered, you can log into your brand registry, and you can also raise a case to your brand registry and provide, well, I'll tell them what is happening. What I also do to just make my appeal or my request a lot stronger is I will provide proof of ownership. I will provide Amazon the manufacturer website, the real world images of my product, like 6 sides if possible. If not, just have the 2 sides. Make sure that you are showing your brand in it and the manufacturer barcode if possible. And then you can also provide Amazon your GS1 prefix certificate.
Mhm.
And then you can also provide Amazon your trademark copy. Like all of this will help this update to really be expedited, and you can get faster resolution. But what I'm trying to say is not all the time it works just like that. Sometimes Amazon, like even though you provide all of those documents, you provide the case ID, the batch ID, you've done all the troubleshooting processes, then they will give you a canned response. To me, if I will keep receiving canned responses, even though I already provided all of what they're asking for, I will just drop that case and close it. And I will try to create a new one and talk to someone who might be helpful instead of just reopening and following up on this case. Or you can keep that case open, but there's a possibility that Amazon will just merge those 2 cases because you're asking for the same thing. So make sure, to me, my practice is I'll just close that one because it's not helpful. It's like over 5 days or 1 week that is open, and then I'll just create a new one and start anew. I mean, it's okay to start anew, and maybe there's someone else better who will be able to assist you on that. Did I
So
answer the question? I know I'm talking a lot.
Arvin just broke down every single possible step. And to quickly summarize, I'm going to try to summarize it as best I can, but step 1 is to try to do a manual edit. And you can do that by going to Seller Central, clicking edit on the listing. Normally nowadays, that's probably not going to end up working. So then you're going to proceed to kind of the flat file update section. And what you're going to do is, number 1, if you have not done this already, go and download a category listing report, which is pretty much Amazon will give you an Excel file that gives you all of the listing data for all the products you have. Normally it's all of them. Well, not always. It's going to give you an exported data in an Excel file. And that's kind of a backup essentially that you have. From there, you're going to go and do a partial update with a flat file just for the one product you're trying to make a change to. And if that goes through, great. If it doesn't, then you're going to proceed to doing a delete relist. So essentially use a flat file and delete the listing temporarily, wait 24 hours, 48 hours if possible. And then you're going to upload the flat file with the changes you want made to Amazon system. And normally, in many cases, that delete relist is going to trigger those changes to go through. If it does not, you're going to proceed to putting in the elbow grease. What that means is you're going to be opening a case with seller support. but now we have a paper trail of all the troubleshooting steps we've done. So we're going to use the batch ID. The batch ID is something given to you when you do a flat file update. And so we can actually use that when we open a case to say, hey, we're trying to update this listing and make this change. We've already done a full flat file delete relist. Here's the batch ID. Please go ahead and help us get this actually pushed through. And then we're going to try to call them as soon as possible. While they're going to then maybe cut, they might resolve it. Very, very rare. They might, normally they're going to take a few, attempts to actually do that. So while we're waiting, we're going to get them to cut it, maybe an internal ticket to the catalog team. And then we can actually, if needed, go into the brand registry account if you're brand registered and open a separate ticket. Sometimes that will help expedite things. And essentially, then it's a matter of following up with those teams. If you get a support case that you find is going nowhere after several attempts to follow up, you can close that case and open a new one. This happens. If you don't close that case, you might have your new case merged into it. So normally better to close the first case, open a separate new one. And that's kind of the process. And so at the end of the day, that part does take some elbow grease. You still everyone has to deal with seller support. That's just how it goes. But now we have a paper trail. We can give them the batch ID, all the troubleshooting steps. And that's also where you can also augment the request with a GS1 certificate or a website or the other verification pieces that show this change should be made on the listing. And that's how you expedite this process, save yourself some time. It's still a pain, but it is doable. And also, this Arvin's done this a bajillion times. It might be a little bit overwhelming if you're going through it for the first time. So let us know in the comments if you do have questions. If you need help, reach out to us. We're going to put, go ahead.
Before that, Ben, yeah, and if you just want to be a little bit more extra, and just something that I want to tell to our listeners right now, because sometimes, especially if you're selling products in different category, and if you download the category listing report, sometimes the browse node in the category listing report is actually inaccurate. So it's better if you will just download a category specific flat file. So it's blank, totally blank. And you can just transfer the information either from the category listing report to that new browse category that you have downloaded. Because every category, they have their specific columns. Sometimes this columns is not available for, let's say, grocery. Sometimes on the baby product, it's not available. So just to make sure that the update that you need to do will happen, it's important that you're also in the right category. Because in the category specific report, even though because there will be a drop down in there about the browse node and you will select it, right? Sometimes even if you select it, it's still incorrect because the columns are actually not applicable for that category. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time. So yeah, and if you want to just really make sure that you have the correct information on your upload, especially if you're doing a full update, then you can transfer all of the information either from your category listing report or maybe even on your back end, you manually just copy paste it. So just, I know it's a very tedious process, but that's why it's really important to have someone in your team who's really knowledgeable about Amazon. Because if you accidentally by mistake added an incorrect information in the wrong column and you did a full update, then that's going to mess up the listing.
Yeah, it's a great call out. Again, if you guys do need help, you're watching this and you just don't want to do this process, feel free to reach out to us. We'll put our LinkedIn's, or you can just leave a comment on this video and we can also assist you if you've got something problematic. But these are really the steps you would follow to make those changes to a listing. It is frustrating at times, but it is doable to make updates. You just have to know the process and how to follow it. So Arvin, any final thoughts you want to add to this video?
No, the only thing I would add in there is it's really fun selling on Amazon, and it's really fun as well, like helping Amazon sellers in troubleshooting this, all of this issue. It may sound like crazy processes, but to me, it's really enjoyable. It's very self-fulfilling at the same time. I mean, not for myself, but also, making the clients really happy to, all of these edits happen on their catalog. That's it.
There you go. Arvin loves it. So reach out to us if you do need help. But Arvin, thanks. That was great. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we keep publishing videos almost every week. And let us know in the comments if there's another video topic you want us to cover. So that's it for this video. Thanks, Arvin, and we'll see everyone in the next video. Cheers.
Cheers.